Yo, Don, check this out. I gotta show you this.
Check it out. Look at all the stuff. Look at this big old mess I made. Nothing left.
What the hell? What is this?
Dude, I'm telling you, I was gonna install the Holley Terminator X-Max on the truck, and I started taking the old wire harness out, and I got irritated by a fuel line. And then when the fuel line was in my way, I was like, man, I should really redo this thing. And then I started making a list. I started making a list of things that I wanted to do, and then it evolved into this. In like 2 hours, I just ripped the whole thing apart.
What? I cannot believe. Are you insane?
What? Me? Insane? No. Viewers are the ones that like it. You're gonna have to ask them.
Are you people insane?
I'm gonna have to stop you right there. I don't want you spreading rumors about my fans. Start telling enough people that kind of stuff, they might actually start to believe you.
What is the matter with you?
All right, so kind of letting the cat out of the bag a little bit here. So we're gonna be redoing the Ranger. So a lot of you guys might, some, maybe not a lot, some might be disappointed because they really wanted to see the triple turbo setup. But I think my feels got in the way a little bit, and I started working on the Terminator X-Max and installing that thing. So I undid all the wiring, and what I did was, last time I worked on it, I took all the wiring and I tucked it behind the intake. So when I wanted to take the harness out, I had to take the intake off. When I wanted to take the intake off, I had to take the fuel lines off. And I got irritated by my fuel line setup that I had, and I just didn't like it. So I was like, I'm gonna redo the fuel lines. Make a note of it, redo the fuel lines, and move the regulator and stuff. I just wasn't happy because the return line was right over the top of the intake bolt, and I was like, I'm gonna redo that because it's hard to work on. So that led into I'm going to work on something else. I'm going to change this. I'm going to change my vacuum lines. I didn't like some of my vacuum lines. I was going to redo my vacuum line routing, and then I ended up making a list. So my coolant temp sensor is cracked because taking the bolt out, I hit it one time with a wrench, so it was like kind of wobbly, and it would change my temperature. So I'm like, I'm going to change that. I'm going to change my vacuum lines. I'm going to add a catch can. I'm going to do a whole bunch of different stuff. So this is what my list ended up being. I wanted to relocate the battery, redo the fuel lines, install the X-Max, add a different boost controller, new coolant temp sensor, vacuum lines, install my headlight. It ended up just being a whole bunch of different stuff. I'm going to go AN lines with transcooler finally, and ended up being a whole mess of stuff. So then after that, I started working and taking stuff apart that I was going to redo it, and then I kind of went a little haywire, like just ripped everything out. So in a matter of like 2 hours from starting to work on it to adding a couple things, ended up being ripping the whole thing out, and we're going to do a completely different setup now. So I've always wanted to do twins on the truck after I had one, especially doing twins on this car now. I like the twins. I wanted to do twins for a long time and just never really did it. And now we're going to do it. So I'm kind of going to add a bunch of stuff. And I learned a lot from doing this car and other stuff that I'm going to change, and we'll try to make it better. Still go for that 10-second pass with this thing, which I don't think it should be an issue with twins and the Terminator, and we'll see. So that's kind of the plan. Plus this car, I think it was kind of time for a new project anyways, because this car is, I'm not going to be doing anything big with it. I am going to put a 4-port boost control solenoid on it. I'm going to do stuff like I'm going to add a passenger seat and a belt, and just kind of change little tiny things and dial stuff in. And this car, as long as it doesn't break, will just be a car that I can not have to work on all the time and take it to the track. So this will be the new build, and we can get some videos and kind of go back and forth for a little bit. So we'll take this thing to the track. If we don't break it, then we can just keep doing this, and that's what we're gonna do. So setup wise, we're gonna go with twins. So twins under the hood. That's kind of where we're going. So started working on a manifold here. Got this thing almost done. I'm gonna cut it, slice it here, and add a little 90 elbow something. We're gonna do something and put a turbo right there. This side is kind of already done with the manifold. Got a V-band there with the thing coming up. I did have to relocate one of the power steering lines. So what I'm actually gonna do is, I was using just the Ford power steering line into the GM pump. And it worked, but it leaked. So over the course of, I don't know, a year or whatever, this thing ended up leaking about half of the fluid out of it. So what I'm going to end up doing, because I had to loop it around anyways, because the hose did come like right underneath it, would have been touching this, I'm going to cut a GM hose off, I'm going to cut the Ranger hose off, and then I'm going to hydraulic crimp the two hoses together and mate them, and that should fix my leak issue and it won't hit this. Also cut out my battery tray, so that's why I'm gonna be relocating the battery. Cut all that stuff out and tie in some of the wiring back, and downpipe's gonna go straight back. And I would still like to keep the theme of trying to make this thing a sleeper with a full exhaust on it. So I want to go duals and go full exhaust with 2 loud valves. So yeah, I'm not going to do a whole lot of super fancy stuff with like TIG welding and stainless. I'm going to kind of go old school booger and wrap, and I think it'll all perform a lot better. And yeah, I mean, I'm happy about it. I don't really care what anybody else says. I'm doing it. That's what I'm doing. We're doing this. It's gonna have twins on it. Hopefully we can get it done in like the next couple weeks. Because yeah, that'd be fun.